So Freilich Chanukah went from, on a steady basis, I meet Rav Dershowitz and Rav Rosen. I'm happy to meet Shili and Yitzchak, which I don't see every day. And Baruch Hashem, we don't have many opportunities for Gedolah Legima. So I'm happy to be at this Mesiba's Chanukah. What is Chanukah all about? So everybody knows about the Levush. That on Purim we have a mitzvah of Chai V'nish Levesumei. Chanukah, Siman Tov Reish Ayin, Siv Beis, there is no mitzvah in Seudo. The Ramo says, somewhat Tzas Lahar Voice, and if you sing, it becomes a Sudas mitzvah. And the Levush explains because the Sakana Purim was physical annihilation, and therefore the Zeicher is Simchas Aguf. Chanukah was all about Lashkichim Terusecho, and therefore the mitzvah is more spiritual, more ruchni, and that is Adlokas Haner. So today I spoke in my Kollel in Amot, and I said that unlike Purim, it was a terrible Gzeir, a terrible time, but the Sakona was entirely external. There were no doubts. Everybody knew what has to be done. Everybody knew that Haman is a murderer, and he's trying, and he didn't keep it a secret. Lahashman lahar goleyabeid. In Golas Mitzrayim, we knew that Pari is a Rasha, and Kodesh Baruch Hu would help us get out. But in the days of Matisyahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol, the Jewish camp was fragmented, and there were many Mesyavnim. So pera to me why we don't find any Zeicher about the Mesyavnim either in Chazal or the Rambam, but all the histories of that period, and we have various different Svarim that are Mekubal, not Chazal, but Sefer HaMekabim and Sefer Chashmonaim, and they all talk about a huge part of Klal Yisrael that were Mesyavnim. Some argue they were the majority. And they said, why fight? The Greeks are not here to kill us. You know, we have what to learn from them. You know, it's not ours. We have our Torah, but still, you know, we could compromise and we could get along, and we even have some nice things to learn from them. And when the Chashmonaim decided to wage war, I assume caused tremendous controversy, and the Mesyavnim said, you're putting the entire people in danger. With what are you going to fight? You're going to fight the greatest empire, a mighty army, and you have nothing. But Matisyahu and his sons were convinced this is mortal danger, and Klal Yisrael is in a great sakana. So the story of Haman and the Avanim are with us since we were born. Esav and Lavan. Yaakov Avinu defined as Priya Shabbat, and it is not coincidence that Yaakov is called Yisrael, and that is our name, the name of the people. Because Yaakov, more than the other Avos, was the one that was Miyasid Klal Yisrael. The Zohar says Yisrael is the first letter of Shloishes Avos and Arba Yimois. The Yud is Yitzchak Yaakov, the Shin is Sarah, the Reish obviously is Rivka and Rachel, the Aleph is Avram, the Lamed is Leah. So all the koiches and shorish nishmasam of Avram, Yitzchak, and the Arba Mois, everything was in Yisod. It's like a turned over pyramid from the Avos to Yaakov, and from Yaakov it branches out to Yisrael. So we are Yaakov, and Yaakov is us. And Yaakov had two great challenges, Esav and Lavan. Esav was out to kill him, and he said it clearly. Yikruvu yemei avi v'argu es Yaakov. Lavan bikish v'akod es Yaakov. But we don't find that Lavan tried to kill Yaakov. When Lovan says, Habonim bonai, Vabonas benoisai, and why do we need to part? Yaakov knows that's a danger. No, Habonim einam bonecha, Vabonis einam benotecha. And we need to part. We can be friends from far away, but we're not the same. And that is the story of Haman, who was Esav, and the Avonim, who were somewhat like Lavan. And in modern times, in the lifetime of our fathers and forefathers, I would say this in Bovis, we had Hitler, who was a murderer. Final solution, he made no secret of it. And the Bolsheviks, who weren't out to kill. But yes, once again, so these are the two Nisyanis that are with us. And when the Chashmonim decide we are going to war, and we put our trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know that B'derech HaTeva we can't win, but we also can't afford to lose. And if we don't fight, we have no future. Because without Torah, there is nothing. And that's the central limit of Chanukah. So today was the yahrzeit of my father, Zechreinu Levracha. So I don't think any of you knew my father, but Rebbe Kiva did, and Reb Chaim did, and these two gewaldige young guys learned in my Kollel. I don't know whether they ever told you that. But they spent some time in the Kollel in Ramot, and they remember my father coming to my shiurim, and he gave me a hard time. And he used to interject in Kriyas Beinayim, Kol Kollel, and I was always in this delicate situation. On one hand, Koidav, I had tremendous respect for my father, but I need to teach Torah service. And I can't afford to tell my father, you're right, when he's not right. And, I need to say what I have to say. And it was a very delicate balance, but I know that when I was sitting Shiva, I saw what an impression it made on people, and so many people came to tell me that was such a beautiful sight. And for me, it meant everything, that I could be mechalek my father in this way and see my father sitting in my shurim. And so my father was a very special individual, tremendous Talmud Chochem and Ilui, and Baynish was especially Mishamish, my father. My father loved him, and they spent a lot of time together. Sometimes when I want to remember something about my father, I ask Baynish. But it's the same also when I want to remember something in Minchas Asher. It's the same. So there's one story about my father that I told 1,000 times. When my father first met the Koisenberg Rebbe, my great Rebbe, my father arrived in Auschwitz, first day Shavuos 1944, Tovshin Dalet. That very same day he lost his Zayda, Baba, father, mother, and 5 out of 8 siblings. Koisenberg Rebbe arrived one day later, second day Shavuos, Tovshin Dalet. He lost his wife and 11 children. My father didn't know him, he never saw him before, but he heard that he's one barracks next to where my father was staying. My father sneaked out in the middle of the night, and he approached him in the morning, introduced himself, and he said, it would be such a source for me if I could get to know the Rebbe and we could be together. And the Rebbe frowned on him, and he said, Bucha, does anybody speak Yiddish here? Anybody? Yeah. So the Rebbe said, Bucha, the mindset that Rebbe helfen, said the Gunish helfen. If you think it's going to do you any good, it's not going to do you any good to know me. And my father responded, Avar da wird es mir helfen, mit keiner reden und lernen. We could talk and learning. The Rebbe was surprised, and he said, Bucha, bist du in Auschwitz and du willst reden und lernen? You're in Auschwitz and you want to talk and learning. And my father said, Avada, of course, because if we don't talk and learning, how will we prevail? How will we make it? And the Rebbe gave him a big hug. And they talked and learning for the next 15 months. and they talked and learning for the next 45 years. And I and my 6 brothers were all Talmidim of the Klesim of the Rebbe. And whenever I tell this inspiring story, I say what my father intuitively felt as an 18-year-old boy is what Matisyoy ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol felt when he said, we need to go to war. We cannot live with Lashkizim Teresecha. We cannot live with Lavira Mechukeret Zenecha. We gotta talk and learning. And that is what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai felt in the days of the Churban. When Aspasiano says, make a wish and it'll be granted, and what is the first thing he asks for? Ten liyam v'chacham me'ah. Because that is the only guarantee for our future. Yam v'chacham me'ah. As long as we talk and learning, we live. If we don't talk and learning, we die. And that's the famous mashal of Rabbi Kiva. Shual shemahanach al gavanor. And he tells the fish, if you're afraid in the river, come out here. And the fish say, Atuhu sha'omer malachu pikeach shebachayis atu lo pikeach ato elati peshata. We are water animals. We're afraid in the water. But if we go on land, we perish. We can't live out there. Rabbi Kiva says, "K'she'onu oiske b'Torah onu misyarim im nifresh mimeno." When we leave Torah, we're like fish on land. And as my father said, if we don't talk and learning, how will we make it? So some things, we remember since we were little kids, and that's why we don't really think about what we're saying. So what's the story when the fox says, when was that? When did the forefathers of the fox and the forefathers of the fish ever lived together on land? When was that? If I would be a fish in that river on that fateful day, I would say, לא פיקח אתו אלה טיפשת, אבל אתה לא רק טיפשת, אתה גם שקרן. I would say, you're not only a fool, you're a liar as well, because my forefathers and your forefathers never lived together, so what are you talking about? Kishem shedoru avo Yisrael asecha. And I think that's part of the mission, because as we know, if you say a lie, again and again and again, with a straight face, people will start to believe you. And this is an argument we hear in every generation, in different versions, different words, different ways. But we always hear this argument, why do you need to be different? So many times, wonderful modern American Balabata from a modern world asked me about their kids learning in Kollel. So when does he finish his studies? When does he get a diploma? When could he finally do something with what he's learning? And I said, when he's going to finish his studies? Well, we all hope you may say and when time comes, and he'll need to give his neshama back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, finally he'll finish his studies. But up to then we hope, not everybody could all day, but we hope to learn and learn and learn, and because that is who we are. So we constantly hear this argument in different versions, just be like everybody else, you learn and then you go to work, and so we say, you stay up there, don't teach us how to live. We know how to live. We are afraid, we have our struggles, we have difficulties, but don't teach us how to live. We know how we are supposed to live. We were born in Har Sinai, and when we first opened our eyes, the first sight we saw was Moshe Rabbeinu Lishnei L'Kosavos. That is the way we live. We are water animals. We were born in HaTalmud, and that's the way we live. So the Chashmonaim know we cannot live with the Yavonim. Rabbonim einam b'nechem, Rabbonis einam b'neisechem. We have our way, and that is with Torah and with mitzvahs. So Baruch Hashem. For me it's a great schus and a pleasure as well, not only a schus to be associated with the Kollel, with my two precious Talmidim, Rosh Kollel, with all the Tayari and Belait. It's a pleasure to give shiur in Kollel. And the few minutes we usually spend after the shiur means a lot to me, just like the shiur. So, Koyit Nashem v'Koy Yosef, and Kodesh Baruch Hu should be able for many years to come, Ad Bias Koyel Lahagul Torah La'adira, and the Simcha of Chanukah should be with us. And in these especially difficult times, as you know, this war weighs on me. So I don't have any kids in the army, but I do feel very strongly with all those that do. And I think we all should. And we're all in the same little boat. And this is our war and not only their war. So, I speak a lot, so I don't remember what I said where. But, this week a person came to see me, and I think that Banish was in the house when he came, I'm not sure. And he just told me that a person knocked on my door 11:15 by night, and I was terrified. He has 3 kids in the army, and when you have children in the army, and somebody knocks on your door by night, you're afraid to go to the door. Because when there's a terrible psula, they don't give it on the phone or by WhatsApp. Because the doctor needs to be there. So they always come to your house. And the person said, 11:15 by night, there's a knock on the door, and I'm terrified. I don't go to the door. But in knock is in Rudnik, I had no choice. With trepidation, I opened the door. He says, I wanted to kick him in the face. But he doesn't know better. So I gave him money. So, that's a mitzvah. I just give an example. We have no idea what these people go through. We don't understand their lives. We don't know what this war means. When every day there are casualties and people getting killed, and a disproportionate number of those soldiers are from soldiers. Many of them tzaddikim, gemurim, talmidei chachamim. Some of them learn minchas osher. So I think we all need to feel what they're feeling. We believe that our Torah is important for Klal Yisrael, and many of them believe that our Torah is important for them. But still, we need to feel what they're feeling, what their families are feeling, and we need to take part of this responsibility, daven better, learn better, and let's hope, because we know from the Ramchal and the Kedushas Levi, our Yom Tov are not merely days of remembrance. They're not days of nostalgia in which we remember events of the distant past. By us, the past is never past. The past always comes back. And in Yemei Evel, Shulchan says, if you have a court case with a non-Jew, try to push it off. Because Shavua Shulchan B'Tisha B'Av is Midas Adin. So Yom Tovim, Shefa Eloki, and all the oilis that lit up the world, that illuminated the world. B'Yamei Aviseinu, everything is chayzer v'neyam. So in these days in which our Avos had miracles, these days are mesugel for miracles. We should only hear the Stoivis, and the Kollel should grow and prosper in each and every one of our Avreikim. Should be Zercha Lahavitz Torah B'Yisrael, Lahoyra Seiroi B'Yisrael, and in the schus of Talmud Torah we should hear the Stoivis, Yeshua's Benachomes, And we should be zoicha to the Kollel Seilomim b'meilu v'yomeinu. Amen.
Amen.